Food Trucker School is now in session. This is episode 27. What's up, food truckers? This is Pat Flynn, your host, and we are here to help you take your food truck business to the next level. Whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this for a while, you're not going to want to miss this one. That's for sure. Today we're talking with Chef Yvonne Anderson-Thomas from Brown Shuga Soul Food in Boise, Idaho. And this is, I gotta say, some of the best advice I've ever heard on the show. You can hear at the end of this episode when she talks about how to keep a food truck going for the long term. You know, you don't want to just start this business to have it run for a year and then drop off. You do this because you want to do it, and you want to do it for the long haul. And Yvonne gives us some great advice on how to do that. She also talks about how she got into this industry, coming from the restaurant industry, how she's employed some of her family members as well, and how to work together with them. A lot of great stuff in this episode. Here's Yvonne from Brown Shuga Soul Food. What is up, food truckers? I am so thrilled to talk today to Yvonne Anderson-Thomas, Chef Yvonne Anderson-Thomas, who works on Brown Shuga Soul Food over in Boise, Idaho. Yvonne, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys giving us a call.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're always happy to help announce amazing people to the world and trying to inspire other people to get in this food truck industry as well, because it's an amazing industry, and you've been doing it since June 2011. So you've had shop open for a while, haven't you?
Yes, I did. I opened a food truck in 11, but I actually had a restaurant before that since 99.
Oh, talk about that transition. What made you decide to start a food truck coming from sort of the restaurant industry?
Well, having a restaurant and owning the property and doing all the maintenance and, the cost of a mortgage on a building, I started thinking about what I could do to go back into the business, because I kind of left the food industry as far as me owning it myself for just, a little while. I kind of dropped it and did a couple other little things. And, I was always cooking on the side, but I had that building, and then we actually moved. And that's what made me give up my actual location. I moved about an hour away from Mountain Home, Idaho, to Boise. Anyway, so I kind of transitioned from that, and I thought, what would be easy for me to still have the business but not have the additional costs as far as, the mortgage and, all the property taxes and stuff like that. So I thought of a food truck, and actually having something here in Boise. We didn't have anything like soul food, like my menu at all here. So I decided to just do that and do the food truck instead of opening another building, because the property up here in Boise is 10 times as much as it is in Mount Home, where I used to have the store.
Well, that's cool. What was it like when you first got on a food truck? I mean, you had this idea to take your restaurant and your cuisine mobile and share it with the community there. But when you first got on the food truck, I'm sure that experience was much different, sort of cooking in a confined little space. Did you get used to it right away? What were some of the challenges for you?
Oh, it was a lot of challenges. And that first one that you said was the greatest one, is the space. Yeah, just having a 22-foot by 8-foot space to put everything in there that you need was challenging. And you couldn't really get any wider or longer. So you have to go up the walls with shelving and, stuff like that, just to try to accommodate what I needed to carry. So I started learning real quick about buying cases of cups or lids or straws, stuff like that. I had to store somewhere else, and I would just, right before every event, I just restock the truck, with the paper goods and the, forks and napkins and cups and lids and all that other stuff that you need, a perishable.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to put it somewhere else. So I have a storage U-Haul that I keep everything in, and then every time I have an event, we pack the truck. That was one big thing to figure out, because you just can't get everything in there, and putting things down on the floor and learning how to tie stuff down when you're moving.
Right. Yeah, the whole restaurant's on wheels, so you got to make sure things don't fall over, and that's great advice. I think it's good that people know sort of what they're getting into. But did you find that just sort of as you got into the truck every day, you just started to get used to it and get into a rhythm?
Oh yeah, I even made a little checklist, and I posted on the wall. And I trained everybody from that checklist, so everybody does the same thing every time, we get in there. And, I had a cleaning list, a setup list, and a breakdown list. And that seemed like it made it easy too, so I could be consistent and make sure everybody's doing everything the same way.
Yeah, I love that. And I also read that your trucks are known for just being some of the cleanest trucks out there, and you take pride in how clean and healthy your trucks are. And I think those checklists can go a long way for that. So that's another great tip. Thank you for sharing that. Just don't even waste your time thinking about it. Just write it down so you can know exactly what you should be doing, and so that not only you can do it, but other people could do those things as well. And you have some family members who are also working with you on the truck. Talk about that really quick.
Yeah, my mom is here, and she helps me. She's probably the only one that I ever let really help me cook. I usually cook everything. And it's kind of hard to train somebody to cook the way you do, but it's easier to train somebody to, use a cash register and serve out a window. To me, that's the easy part. So most people just, if I have anybody else on the truck, they usually help me serve. I do all the cooking, and most of the time I run the cash register because I'm the fastest.
But you're in the truck. I love that. A lot of food truck owners I know, they're not even in the trucks. They train other people. But you take so much pride in the food that you have to offer that, you are the one cooking it, and your mom as well. And I think that's super cool. So again, for anybody out there listening, again, if you're ever around Boise, Idaho, make sure you go and visit Yvonne. Brown Shuga Soul Food. You can find her at Brown Shuga. That's SHUGA soulfood.com. And the same name on Facebook.com/Brown Shuga Soul Food too. So let's keep going here. You have a full day, I'm sure, in terms of work and everything you need to do. Can you walk us through what a typical day is like for you?
Ooh, that's kind of crazy. Okay, most of the time I'm doing events and festivals or weddings or private caterings that we're taking the truck to. So the typical day would be me starting out, on the smoker, getting the smoker lit.
What time of the day is this?
It depends on what I'm cooking.
Okay.
If I'm doing chicken, like I do chicken leg quarters, I do, ribs. If I'm doing chicken or ribs, I have to get up about 4 to 5 hours earlier before I want to even start packing the truck.
Wow.
So if I'm doing pulled pork, I actually put my pork on at 9 o'clock the night before.
Yeah, you're slow roasting that stuff.
So I keep it on 12 to 18 hours. So my work doesn't just start on the day of the event. It usually have a lot of prep the day before the event. So like I said, if I put the pork on, say I'm doing pulled pork, I put it on at 9 o'clock that night, and I don't take it off until we get ready to load the truck.
Are you cooking that in the truck, or are you cooking that at a commissary somewhere?
No, I have a smoker that I tow with the trailer.
Oh, okay.
And I have a smoker on wheels. It weighs 1,200 pounds. It's the biggest trailer you can buy.
That's cool. So you can't miss your truck if you see it.
Yeah. So I tow the smoker with my SUV, and then I have a driver that tows my food truck with the pickup truck. So we caravan everywhere together. I follow behind the food truck wherever we go.
I love it. So sometimes stuff happens the night before. What time are you getting up in the morning, and what time do you go to bed typically?
Usually I'm up about 5 or 6, sometimes earlier, and then I don't go to bed until sometimes 12:31 to. It just depends on what event we're doing. There's some festivals that we have that don't end until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And by the time you clean up and hitch the trailer back up, take it back to the spot, and then get home, it's been 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm usually exhausted by then.
Wow. And so tell me, Yvonne, really what keeps you going here? Obviously, you do this for a reason. You don't have to wake up this early or go to bed that late. Why do you do what you do?
Well, I love food. I love to feed people, and I get a joy out of just seeing people take that first bite out of a pulled pork sandwich and sauce is dripping down their face, and they come to the trailer and just want to hug me.
Food can do that. I mean, food is an experience, and you're creating that for people. And now you're making me hungry. My mouth is watering just hearing about this.
Sorry about that.
No, it's cool.
But I want to also mention my son. He helps me a lot too. He's 21. His name is Daniel. He usually will go with my driver and help me hitch it up, get the trailer hooked up to the pickup, and then, he knows how to set it up, how to take it down. We've had occasions like 4th of July where we're in 2 different events on the same day, all day. And I'll have him run one with him and my mom, and then me and some other people will go to the second event. So he's a very integral part of me moving around too, because sometimes I just can't do everything by myself, so I got to try to get some help sometimes. But the majority of the time, I mean, I can run the truck by myself whenever I need to. I do all the time.
That's cool. And about your son Daniel, I think that's really cool. I know a lot of food truck owners who have potentially thought about having other family members, especially their kids, come and work with them in the truck. Do you have any tips for those people who are thinking about having somebody that is close to them like that work with them? How do you make sure that you guys are, not at each other's throats all the time? How do you work well together with somebody close to you like that?
I can't give you any advice on not to be at each other's throats, because every time, I mean, you spend enough time with anybody. I mean, tempers flare sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
And I get a little anxious sometimes. I'm not like a Gordon Ramsay or anything by any means, but sometimes when I'm anxious and I know something needs to be done and they know it needs to be done, and if he's standing around, I do yell at him sometimes. It's like, look, we got to get open and we got to get this done, so I need you to get it together.
Yeah.
But everybody that works with me understands my heart, and they know I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm just nervous because I just want it done.
Right.
And I'm just a type A kind of personality person where I want it done the way I ask you to do it. I just need you to get it done. But I think whether it's regular employees or your family, but sometimes your family can take you for granted too. So, they're like, oh, we know, she'll be all right. She's going to yell at me in a minute, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. I think if everybody knows sort of what the purpose is of being there, and that the expectations are that things could get heated every once in a while, then everybody will be okay.
Right. And I think that's just natural. But, I mean, they know we all love each other, and we're all there, like you said, for a purpose. We got to feed everybody and get everybody in line. I don't like to have people waiting in line either.
Mm-hmm.
So I like my truck to be fast and efficient. I don't want them to wait in line to order and then have to stand over somewhere and wait in line again to get their food out. So normally when I call out an order on the cash register, I have them dishing it up. And before I can give them their change or their credit card receipt, I'm usually putting their plate out the window.
I love that. I think talk more about efficiency. I mean, how are you guys able to be so efficient and move fast? I know that's really important. It means you're going to get more customers through the window. You're going to make your customers even more happy. Mm-hmm. What do you do internally in the truck to be more efficient?
Well, the one thing that's a little bit different about my truck is because I do soul food and barbecue, is that barbecue has to be done ahead of time. Like I was telling you earlier,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have to get those ribs on or get that chicken on, 4 hours ahead, 5 hours ahead, whatever. I can't wait until the event to start cooking because it takes that long.
Right.
So I try to start with, 5 or 6 pans of meat to start. So that's why I get up so early, get it done. When I go to the truck, we have steam tables. I put the hot water in the steam tables, turn them on, get my power going, and I got food already ready.
I like that idea.
Then I can put more food on once I get everything set up, and then I can keep it cooking. But I can't wait until I don't cook stuff to order, because I do stuff like macaroni and cheese. It has to be baked in the oven for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I start out with a pan, and then I can make everything on my smoker, actually, even cobbler, without it smelling like smoke.
Wow.
So I put my desserts in there on top. I put the meat underneath, and I can even have pans of macaroni and cheese are ready to go. And then all I do is put my milk in there and then stick them in the smoker and get them hot. And then I bring in stuff as I need it, one pan at a time. But I don't cook everything necessarily right there inside the trailer. Most of it is, but I even have like a camp stove that I'll pull outside in the summertime. If I need red beans cooking outside or whatever, I can boil up corn on the cob or baked beans, whatever I need. I can cook it outside, so I cook a lot of stuff right there at the food truck when we're setting up, and that's why it takes me so long sometimes to get set up, because I want to make sure I have stuff ready. When we open that window, you can get a plate right there and you don't have to wait.
Love that. Now, a few final questions here for you, Yvonne. And again, thank you for sharing all of this with us. This is super inspiring. Your truck's been open since 2011, and it's currently, the year just changed to 2015, which is incredible. But that's a long time for a truck to be open and for thriving and doing so well. That's amazing. Congratulations. And I think a lot of people out there who are just starting out would love to know that their truck would be successful and do well for this long. Why do you feel like your truck has done so well? How do you feel like people are always coming back, or why do you feel like it's still there even today after starting it so many years ago?
That is a really good question. And there is a lot of people who started when I started that sold their trucks already.
Mm-hmm.
I think the mentality of most people is, oh, one day they'll just wake up and say, I think I'll start a food truck. They may not have any food service experience. They may not know anything about marketing. They may not know anything about, budgeting, accounting, whatever. They just come up with this wild hair and they think, oh, this is going to be very lucrative. Even though I don't know anything about it, I'm going to just jump into it. I think I put a lot of thought into it. I've been in this industry 30 years or more, doing food one way or the other. And I ran my own restaurant and I worked in other restaurants and been heads of kitchens. So I felt like I had the experience to really make this work and know what I'm doing before I jumped into it. But I just hear people say all the time, oh, I'm so glad you got a food truck. We thought about doing something like that, but I think you need a little bit of experience to do it. And if you don't, you got to have a really, really good mentor. I have help. I go to the Women's Business Center here if I have questions about anything, the Small Business Administration. I've reached out for help. I've been in leader groups, and I talk to other business owners and try to find other people in the restaurant industry, if I have a question or how do you do that or how do you do that. You just have to have some really good mentors out there that are willing to share, and help you along if you need something. And I think those agencies have really been an integral part of me learning and being where I am today, because there's people that I got to lean on that were marketing experts or accounting experts or, just opening a business. They just really gave me some guidance. And even though I've been in business all these years, I still learn something from them every day.
Wow.
So I think you have to seek some help, and I think you have to have a drive and determination. And I'm not a quitter, so that helps. And I know there's times when you feel like, you do this event and they say you're going to have 1,000 people and you get 100. You made all this food, and it gets discouraging sometimes. I'm not saying that, but you just got to hang in there and just do what you got to do to make the business work, and I'm willing to put in extra sacrifice to do that. And some people are not willing to do that. The first time they don't have a good gig, they're like, oh, I'm not going to make any money, at this, and I'm just going to quit. Well, I don't quit.
Yvonne, that was some of the best advice we've heard on the show before, so thank you so much for that. And I think a lot of people will consider you perhaps their kind of mentor, kind of moving forward and taking and pulling a lot of inspiration from you. So thank you for that. And SBA.gov is a great resource, which is what you recommended and suggested, going to all their local chapter meetings and just getting to know people and discovering new things. And like you said, you can never stop learning, and you shouldn't ever stop learning. And as things change, you're always going to want to be on top of it. And I love that. And so thank you for sharing that. I think that's a perfect way to close up the show. So again, for everybody out there, check out Yvonne and her truck, Brown Shuga Soul Food. If you're in the Boise, Idaho area, give her a shout out, buy some pulled pork, and you'll know that some love and care was put into it for sure. And she'll love you for it, I'm sure. So any final words before we go, or perhaps, just any final words of advice for everybody out there listening right now?
Just do your research and look for a good truck that fits your needs and your menu. Don't just go out there and buy the first truck that you like. Make sure it has the equipment that you need, or else you're going to be spending a lot more money equipping it for the types of food that you make. And just keep plugging at it and get out there and market yourself and let people know what you do. Give out some samples and let people taste what you do. And that goes far. The word of mouth really goes a long way.
That's right. Food in mouth, word of mouth. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, Yvonne, and best of luck to you. And we look forward to checking you out at some point.
Thank you so much.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Chef Yvonne Anderson-Thomas from Brown Shuga Soul Food, an awesome truck from Boise, Idaho. And if you're ever in that area, I truly recommend you check her out. And her cuisine just sounds amazing. And you can't miss her because she's pulling that 1,200-pound smoker behind her. Thank you, Yvonne, for your time and sharing that incredible advice, especially there at the end, which is, I think, going to be invaluable to a lot of people who are listening to the show. Thank you to those of you who have listened to the show, whether this is your first episode or your 27th episode, because you've listened to them all. Just thank you so much for your support. We over here at Food Trucker completely appreciate it, and we are here, like we always say, we are here to help you. So until next time, keep trucking, keep cooking, And keep looking around the blog because there's a lot more information in there that's going to help you take your food truck to the next level. Foodtrucker.com. See you there.